Imagine this. Every night you whisper to yourself, tomorrow will be different. And yet, when tomorrow comes, it's the same scene on repeat. You scroll when you should be sleeping, eyes burning, but fingers still swiping. You eat when you're not hungry, chasing comfort in flavors that fade as soon as the last bite is gone. You complain about your circumstances instead of creating change, telling yourself you'll get to it someday. We call them bad habits, little loops of behavior that feel harmless in the moment, but quietly steal our time, our energy, and our potential. But what if I told you that the Stoics, more than 2,000 years ago, had a way not just to break these cycles, but to transform them into strengths? That the same impulses tripping you up could become the very fuel that builds you into someone stronger, calmer, and more focused? The Stoics didn't believe in erasing who you are. They believed in refining you, the way fire takes raw, unshaped metal and transforms it into a sword. Every urge, every craving, every moment of weakness can be forged into discipline, resilience, and virtue if you're willing to face it head on. The process isn't about shame, and it isn't about punishment. It's about understanding the root of your actions, taking ownership of them, and redirecting that energy towards something worthy. Because the truth is, you don't have to wait for tomorrow to be different. You can start shaping it now with the very choices you make in this moment. Bad habits aren't born overnight. They are slow, quiet, and patient. They start as tiny choices, a little escape after a stressful day, a small indulgence because you deserve it, a harmless distraction to avoid an uncomfortable task. At first, they feel like nothing, but repeated often enough, they carve deep pathways in the brain, turning a one-time choice into an automatic response. That endless scroll through your phone gives you a quick dopamine hit, a shot of pleasure that fades just as quickly as it came. That sarcastic comment in a conversation gives you a fleeting sense of superiority, like you've won a tiny battle no one else even knew was happening. That moment you put off your work feels like relief in the moment, but it quietly builds a mountain of pressure you'll have to climb later. The Stoics understood this long before neuroscience explained it. They knew these habits are not evil by nature. They're simply energy misdirected. The urge to relax, to protect yourself, to connect with others, to feel good, none of that is wrong. What matters is where you aim those urges. Marcus Aurelius warned that our lives are shaped by our thoughts and the actions we repeat. And if those actions are unexamined, they can shape us into something we never intended to be. One day you wake up and realize the life you're living isn't the life you chose. It's the one your habits built for you. Seneca put it bluntly, we become what we repeatedly do. And that is the real danger, not just the habit itself, but the fact that we stop noticing we're doing it. When the habit disappears into the background, it becomes part of who we are, guiding our choices without us even realizing it. That's why awareness is the first step the Stoics preached. To wake up, to see clearly, to catch yourself in the act. Because the moment you see the habit for what it is, you take the first step toward changing it. And until you do, those small, seemingly harmless choices will keep shaping your life in ways you may not like, quietly, consistently, and without mercy. To the Stoics, discipline was never about killing desire or pretending impulses didn't exist. It was about harnessing them, taming the wild horse so it could pull you towards something meaningful instead of running you off a cliff. They understood that impulses are not flaws in the human design. They are part of what it means to be human. The craving for food, the urge to check your phone, the pull to lean in when gossip starts, these are not inherently evil. They are raw energy, and like any form of energy, they can either power you forward or burn you down, depending on how you direct them. Epictetus taught that we cannot control the things that trigger us. The world will always present temptations, distractions, and provocations. What we can control, and what defines our character, is how we respond when those triggers appear. The Stoic path to transformation begins with awareness, the ability to see the habit for what it is without covering it in layers of shame or hiding it behind clever excuses. Awareness is the light that exposes the pattern. Then comes ownership, the understanding that this habit belongs to you and it is your responsibility to manage it. The world will not remove it for you, and no one else can live your life in your place. And finally, there is redirection, the most powerful Stoic move of all, taking the very drive that fuels the bad habit and pointing it towards something worthy. If your craving is for comfort, find it in healthy rituals. If your urge is for stimulation, feed it with learning instead of noise. If your instinct is to connect through gossip, connect through empathy and meaningful conversation. The Stoics didn't try to fight human nature. They worked with it, shaping it, channeling it, and in doing so, they proved that transformation isn't about erasing yourself. It's about refining yourself. This is where Stoicism truly shines, because the Stoics never stopped at, don't do that. They knew that simply telling someone to quit a bad habit without offering a better path was like tearing down a house and leaving an empty lot. Sooner or later, something will grow there, and it might be weeds. Instead, they asked the deeper, more transformative question. What's the virtuous version of this habit? They understood that behind every so-called vice is a legitimate human drive. Connection, comfort, achievement, security, but aimed in the wrong direction. The goal wasn't to kill the drive, but to give it a better aim. If your bad habit is gossip, the underlying drive isn't cruelty, it's connection. You want to bond with others, to feel part of something. The problem is the method. So redirect it into meaningful conversations, genuine curiosity about others' well-being, or acts of service that build trust instead of eroding it. You can still connect, but now it's through truth and kindness rather than whispers and shadows. If your habit is procrastination, the underlying drive may be perfectionism or fear of failure. You're not lazy. You're protecting yourself from the discomfort of starting something that might not be perfect. The Stoic approach: channel that caution into preparation, learning, and breaking the task into smaller, winnable steps. Instead of letting fear freeze you, let it sharpen your readiness. So when you act with clarity and confidence. If your habit is overindulgence in food or drink, the underlying drive is comfort, a perfectly human desire to soothe yourself when life feels overwhelming. But comfort can come from healthier rituals, a walk in nature where your thoughts settle, a session of exercise that leaves your body humming with energy, meditation that quiets the mind. The comfort is still there, but it no longer leaves you feeling worse in the long run. The Stoics believe that every vice has a mirror image in virtue, and that transformation happens the moment you find that mirror and step through it. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily to turn obstacles into fuel. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Your bad habit isn't just a roadblock, it's raw material. Just as a sculptor sees a statue in the block of marble, you must see the virtue inside your vice. Your job isn't to throw the marble away, but to chip away what doesn't belong until the shape you want emerges. The impulse that drives you toward the habit doesn't need to be erased. It needs to be refined, honed, and transformed into something that serves you instead of sabotaging you. When you do that, your bad habits stop being an anchor that holds you down and start becoming the fire that forges you into someone stronger, wiser, and free. So how do you begin? You start by stepping back and asking yourself one powerful question. What is this habit really trying to give me? Step 1. Identify the root drive behind it. Is it comfort, control, attention, escape, or something else entirely? Because once you know the true need, you stop fighting the surface behavior and start addressing the core. Step 2. Decide what the virtuous form of that drive looks like. If it's comfort, maybe it's crafting a nightly wind-down routine that actually restores you. Reading a good book, stretching, meditating, instead of binge-watching until 2 a.m. and waking up drained. Step 3. When the trigger appears, replace the old action with the new one immediately. Don't leave the mind in a vacuum. The moment you feel the urge to slip into the old habit, give yourself a yes to something better, a choice that meets the same need but leaves you stronger instead of weaker. Step 4. Track your progress, not by counting the days you've avoided the bad habit, but by how often you've chosen its virtuous counterpart. This is about turning raw energy into refined power. It's not about killing parts of yourself or living in constant restriction. It's about upgrading those parts so they serve you. Every time you do this, you're proving to yourself that you're not just avoiding the old path, you're building a better one. And the more you walk it, the more it becomes who you are. The Stoics believed that life's greatest and most noble work was never about conquering armies, climbing social ladders, or collecting trophies. It was about conquering yourself. And conquering yourself doesn't mean waging war against your flaws until nothing remains. It means taking those flaws, those rough edges, and reshaping them into strengths. Your bad habits are not the enemy to be burned to the ground. They are your raw materials, the uncut stone in your hands. Within them lies the potential for discipline, for wisdom, for resilience. A sculptor doesn't curse the marble for being unshaped. They see the statue inside and patiently, persistently bring it to life. In the same way, you have the power to carve away what doesn't serve you and reveal the person you were meant to be. So, what habit will you transform starting today? Which old pattern will you choose to forge into something worthy? Comment below, declare it, and take the first swing at shaping it. And remember, as Marcus Aurelius would say, the obstacle is not the end. The obstacle is the way.